I'd like to welcome you all to our fourth seminar in our Tuesdays with Tom fundraising webinar series for June 2nd. This is facilitation once you get your grant and what to do if you're denied. So Tom, we'll let you take it away. Welcome to Tuesdays with Tom.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. Thanks again for being on board here. And I hope these seminars are helpful to you, and I will continue to do them. We have 12 of them set up for the first round of this, and then we'll go forward from there and figure out how that's going to work in the future. So thank you for being here. And this seminar number 4 is, like Lisa said, it's facilitating your grant once you get it, and then what happens if you're denied that grant, which does happen from time to time. We're going to look at managing grants post-approval by adhering to funding agreements, creating your financial tracking systems, and managing stakeholder compliance. So your funder, making sure that you stay by their guidelines and everything else that they said in the grant agreement. So we're also going to look at, if your application is denied, some things to look at, how you can speak to the funder. You can ask for review of the grant and things like that. So I'll go into that a little bit also. So once you're approved for funding, once you've written the grant proposal, you've gotten it out there, they've given you the grant, you're going to get what's called a grant agreement. And in that grant agreement, it's going to spell out everything that you're expected to do over the grant period. So it's going to have the dates of the grant, when it starts, when it finishes, when you need to report on it, if you need to do interim reports, such as like financials and things like that, and looking at kind of all your contact information and what you're expected to do in that grant. So that once you go through that grant agreement, you're going to read that really, really stringently. You're going to make sure that you know everything about that. And what I generally do, if you don't have kind of a software for grant management, I just set up a spreadsheet and I'll put in there all of the expected impacts, all of what you expect to happen in the grant, what you're going to do in the grant, and then the grant period and all that stuff. I kind of headline the spreadsheet like that. And if you ever need any of those, I have a plethora of examples, so I can always send that to you. All you have to do is contact me, and I'll send those out to you. So with the request. One thing that you really want to make sure that you do is set up your financials very carefully. So you're going to have your bank account in your accounting software. You're going to code each grant separately. You're going to give it a different coding. So you want to make sure that everything goes into that code. Everything that has to do with that grant. You're going to look through that grant agreement, like I said before, and you're going to look at what they're funding. Are they funding salary? Are they funding just program? Are they giving you, is it unrestricted funding? So you're going to want to look at all those pieces, and then you're going to code like that. And then everything will go into your financials. You want to be really strict, really, really strict about that. Because when you report, you want that report to be to the penny of what you spent, keeping your receipts and all that good stuff too, but making sure that everything is in there. Because once you get the grant, the first thought should be, am I going to get another one? And to get another one, you're going to really want to report well to these funders. What I do, even though they don't ask for it, I send pictures, I send testimonials, I call them and tell them this cool thing happened or that cool thing happened. I'm always talking to the program officers, because you build that relationship, and that's going to assure you funding in the future, and probably more money. Because a lot of people that get these grants that are granted, they don't do all that. They just take the money, then they'll do whatever report at the end, and that'll be it. And really, when you're looking at a family foundation, somebody bequeathed their estate. So with a mission, with an idea of change they want to make. And that's not respecting that. And if you're not respecting that, they're not going to come back and fund you again. So really keep those relationships really great. Going on now. Okay. I wanted to talk about a little bit about what happens if you're denied now. So you can follow up with the program. So if you're denied the grant, it's not the end of the world. It's you can probably resubmit within a couple of months with the same program, but having the conversation with the funder. So you want to go and talk to the program officer, ask them to do a review of your proposal and what they think was missing. And generally when I do this, I'll just call them up. I'll say, thank you so much for considering our grant proposal. But this is a learning experience for me. I'm with this organization, and I want to make sure that we do the best job that we possibly can when we submit our proposals, and that it's clear and concise, and it adheres to what you're intending to do, with your funds. So can someone please review and tell me what might have been missing in the proposal? That's what I'll say to them. And they almost always come back, and some of them are pretty excited about that, because it really shows that you're respecting their process, and respecting what they're looking to do. So I'll almost always get a review back. I go back into that and I look, and I'll go through my proposal and I'll say, okay, that's what was missing here, and then pop those things in there, and then get ready to resubmit for the next round, because they'll always let you do that. Sometimes it'll be a year. You have to wait a year, but most of the time you can go right into the next round. And I've gotten funded plenty of times like that, just coming out of a refusal, a denial. It really is a learning experience, and just really have really good follow up with that funder. And you can even start to talk about some of the programs that you're doing in the interim before you submit, and ask them if they think that might be a good fit for them, after you look really well at their funding priorities and all that good stuff. But so it's not the end of the world if you don't get it. And then just kind of you want to do. I do like a rejection analysis. So one of the things I like to do is to look and see if I did my due diligence and I did my job by looking at their guidelines again, and then looking at the program that I submitted for. I try and do that in the beginning as well as I possibly can, but sometimes you miss things, and you might have asked for something in the proposal. You might have said something about salary, and they don't fund salary. So you can go back through that proposal and just omit those things, change that budget around so that it's not, you're not looking at any kind of salary in that proposal, and then just resubmit like that. So I like to do also, I update that master draft that I did. So you want to keep your proposal. Keep the proposal that you sent. When I'm writing a proposal, almost everything's online now. So you want to start a Word document. I pull all of the text off the online portal, pop that into a Word document. I write the entire proposal in the Word document, and then I save that. I save that on my server, and then I have reference to everything, because once you submit that proposal online, it goes into la la land. You're not gonna be able to read it again for most part. Some of the bigger funders, will keep that because they have larger servers, and you'll be able to reference it. But a lot of them, especially the smaller family foundations, that's going to disappear, and you're not going to know what you sent them. So with that Word document, you can go back through and you can make your changes once you have that review, somebody review that proposal and say what was missing. So that's kind of all I have on this one. Just like I said, once it's not the end of the world if you don't get the grant. It happens a lot. It's you could be, if you're doing 20% on your proposals funded, you're doing really well. So 80% of the time it's going to be a no, and there's you want to go through and look and see if it's even a viable viable option to go through that funder, and then you kind of just move on from there if it's not, or if something was missing in your proposal, you can make those changes and resubmit to them. So that's kind of all I have for today, Lisa. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you, Tom. And we look forward to next week's Tuesdays with Tom. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.